Dadperfectrevenge. The call came on a Thursday afternoon while I was checking foundation measurements on a highway overpass project outside Richmond. My site supervisor Danny walked over with his radio in hand, looking concerned. "Brandon, you've got an emergency call. They're patching it through to my radio." Emergency calls on construction sites usually mean one thing: somebody got hurt bad or there's been a serious accident. In 26 years of civil engineering, I'd taken too many calls like that. Heart attacks, equipment failures, guys falling from scaffolding. I grabbed the radio, my hands already getting that cold feeling you get when you know something's wrong. "This is Brandon Carter. Brandon, this is Mrs. Garcia from next door." Her voice came through the static, shaky and nervous. She'd never called me at work before. "I'm so sorry to bother you on the job site, but I couldn't wait until you got home. There's something about Michelle you need to know. Mrs. Garcia is 82 years old, been our neighbor for 15 years. She's not the type to call unless it's serious." My mind started racing through possibilities. Car accident, medical emergency, break-in. "Is Michelle okay? What happened?" "She's fine. Physically, she's fine." There was this long pause that made my stomach drop. "Brandon, I need you to check your security cameras when you get home tonight. The ones pointed at your driveway and front door. Check Tuesday's footage around 2 p.m. I looked around at the concrete forms, the rebar, the normal chaos of a construction site, and suddenly none of it seemed real. "What are you talking about, Mrs. Garcia? There's a young man in a blue Honda. He comes to your house every Tuesday and Thursday, always at 2 p.m. sharp, always when you're gone on those long site jobs. He stays for hours, Brandon. Hours." The bridge foundation suddenly felt like it was shifting under my feet. I'm Brandon Carter, 58 years old, and I've been a civil engineer for 26 years. Michelle and I have been married for 26 years. Raised 2 kids who are now grown with careers of their own. Our daughter Sarah works as a nurse in Charlotte. Our son Mike is an accountant in Raleigh. I thought we'd made it through the hard part. "Are you absolutely sure about this?" "I wish I wasn't." Mrs. Garcia's voice got quiet. "My husband passed 12 years ago, but before that, he had someone on the side for 3 years. Everyone knew. The neighbors, his co-workers, even our own kids suspected. But nobody told me. They all thought it wasn't their business. When I finally found out, I felt like such a fool. I swore if I ever saw it happening to someone else, I wouldn't stay silent. I finished that inspection on autopilot. My mind was somewhere else while my body went through the motions of checking concrete pours and steel reinforcements. Danny kept asking if I was okay, but what was I supposed to say? That my 82-year-old neighbor just told me my wife of 26 years might be cheating on me? The drive home took forever. Every red light felt like it lasted 10 minutes. I kept thinking about Mrs. Garcia's words. Tuesday and Thursday, always at 2 p.m. That's when I'm usually at the furthest job sites, when I wouldn't be home until after 6. Michelle knew my schedule better than anyone. The moment I got to my truck, I pulled up our home security system on my phone. Michelle had wanted cameras installed last year after some break-ins in the neighborhood. She'd been the one pushing for them, said it would help us sleep better knowing the house was protected. Funny how that worked out. I scrolled back to Tuesday, 2 days ago, 1:55 p.m. Our driveway was empty, just like always. 2:03 p.m. A blue Honda Civic pulled in. A guy got out, late 20s, athletic build, wearing gym clothes. He walked to our front door with this confidence, like he belonged there. Michelle opened it before he even knocked. She was wearing that white dress I'd bought her for our anniversary last year, the one she said made her feel beautiful again. She kissed him. Not a friendly peck, a real kiss that made something inside my chest feel hollow. They went inside together, and I watched the door close behind them. I switched to the living room camera. There they were, laughing together on our couch. The same couch where Michelle and I watched movies on Sunday nights. She poured him wine from the bottle we'd been saving for a special occasion. Watched her lean into him the way she used to lean into me back when we were young. My hands were shaking as I checked Thursday's footage. Same routine, same guy, same intimacy, same wine. I went back further, week after week, always Tuesday and Thursday, always at 2 p.m., like clockwork, like my job schedule that she knew by heart. I counted them. 42 visits total over 3 months. Always on my long job days. Always the same precise timing. How could I have been so blind? All those times she seemed happy when I got home, asking about my day, making my favorite dinner. Was she just relieved I hadn't caught her? My phone rang. Mrs. Garcia again. Did you check? I did. My voice sounded hollow, even to myself. I'm so sorry, Brandon. I'm so sorry. Thank you for telling me. I mean that. What will you do? I stared at the frozen image on my phone screen. Michelle and this stranger in my living room, drinking my wine, sitting on my furniture in my house that I'd been paying for all these years. I don't know yet, but I won't do anything stupid. Good. Think it through. Take your time. I'm here if you need to talk. I had 2 days before my next site visit. 2 days to figure out what to do with this information that was burning a hole through my chest. I couldn't go home that night. How could I look at Michelle, kiss her goodnight, pretend everything was normal when I just watched her with another man? I checked into a hotel near the highway and sat there in the dark, watching the footage over and over, looking for signs I'd missed. How long had this been going on? Was this her first affair or just the first one I'd caught? Every laugh, every touch, every intimate moment felt like a knife twisting in my gut. Around midnight, I opened my laptop and started a document. 26 years of engineering had taught me one thing. When you're facing a structural problem, you don't panic. You assess the damage. You gather data. You make a plan. I titled it Evidence Log. Entry 1, Tuesday, November 12th, 2:03 p.m. Blue Honda Civic, license plate visible. Male, approximately 28 to 32 years old. Brown hair, 6'1", athletic build. Enters house, stays until 5:47 p.m. I worked backward through 3 months of footage, documenting every visit, every kiss, every time she opened that door with a smile I thought was meant for me. 42 visits total, always on my long job days, always the same precise timing. But something else caught my attention as I cataloged the evidence. In several clips, I could see papers on the kitchen table, documents that looked official. In one clip from 3 weeks ago, Michelle and this guy were both leaning over something, signing papers together. I enhanced the image as much as I could on my laptop. Pacific Life Insurance Company letterhead. That's when the betrayal shifted from painful to terrifying. I called my insurance agent first thing Friday morning. Hey Kevin, it's Brandon Carter. Quick question. Did Michelle recently change anything on my life insurance? Oh, hey Brandon. Yeah, actually she increased it about 2 months ago. Bumped it up to $3.5 million. She said you guys were planning some investments and wanted better coverage. Why? Just checking. Thanks. $3.5 million. Nearly double what we'd had, and I'd never discussed it with her. My chest felt tight. This wasn't just an affair anymore. I hung up and immediately called my lawyer, Scott Williams. We'd known each other for 15 years, played golf twice a month when I was in town. Scott, I need you to pull all my legal documents. Life insurance, will, property deeds, bank accounts, everything. I need to see what I actually have versus what I think I have. Brandon, what's going on? Can't explain yet. Just treat this as urgent. 2 hours later, I was sitting in his office looking at documents I should have been monitoring all along. Brandon, this isn't your signature. Scott held up my signature from our original policy next to the new documents. I've seen your handwriting 1,000 times. This is close, but it's not yours. The room felt like it was spinning. My will had been changed too. 6 months ago, according to the date. I didn't remember signing a new will. According to this version, if I died, everything went to Michelle immediately. No trust provisions for our kids like the original had. This is forged too, Scott said, his jaw tight. Brandon, these are serious felonies, multiple felonies. I pulled up the security footage on my phone, showed him the affair, the documents on the kitchen table. Scott, I think my wife is planning to kill me. His face went pale. We need to call the police right now, not yet. I need to understand the full picture. Who is this guy? What's their plan? If I go to the police now with just suspicions, she might talk her way out of it. Brandon, if you're right, every day you wait is dangerous. I'm an engineer, Scott. I calculate risk for a living. Right now, she thinks I'm clueless. The moment I confront her, I lose that advantage. Give me 1 week to build an airtight case. He didn't like it, but he understood. 1 week. And you don't go anywhere alone with her. I hired a private investigator that afternoon. Ashley Coleman, former FBI, specialized in fraud cases. I need everything, I told her. Who he is, where he works, his connection to Michelle, financial records, communications, everything. I'll need access to her phone records, email, bank accounts, whatever you need. That night, I went home for the first time since Mrs. Garcia's call. Michelle was in the kitchen making dinner, humming along to the radio. She looked up when I walked in, her face lighting up with that familiar smile. "You're home early. I thought you had another day on the Richmond project. Schedule changed. They needed me back for a materials review." I set my bag down, watched her carefully, looking for guilt, nervousness, any sign that she knew she'd been caught. Nothing. Just the same Michelle who'd kissed me goodbye 3 days ago. "Well, I'm glad you're home. I've missed you." She came over to hug me. I stood there letting her embrace me while my mind cataloged all the ways she'd betrayed that trust. The affair, the forged signatures, the doubled life insurance. My wife wasn't just cheating on me. She was planning my death. "Missed you too." We ate dinner together like nothing had changed. She asked about my day, told me about her book club meeting, mentioned that our neighbor, Mrs. Peterson, was having hip surgery next week. Normal conversation between a married couple of 26 years. Except, I knew she'd spent the afternoon with another man, and I was wearing a wire recorder that Scott had given me. "How's the interior design business going?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Oh, slow season, but I've got a few prospects for next month." Lies. According to her credit card statements that Ashley had already pulled, she hadn't had a paying client in 4 months. But she'd been paying for private training sessions at Peak Fitness 3 times a week since March. That week was the longest of my life. I played the devoted husband while building my case. When she was at her book club on Wednesday nights, I logged into our home computer. She'd left herself signed into her email. Rookie mistake for someone planning a murder. I found messages to Tyler Mason. That was his name. The personal trainer at Peak Fitness where she'd joined 8 months ago. Most of the emails were coded, talking about workouts and training sessions, but a few were more direct. Brandon's schedule for next week: Tuesday Richmond Bridge, Thursday Norfolk Highway project. House. He will be clear 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. both days. My own wife was giving her lover my work schedule so they could use my house for their affair. But then I found the email that made my blood turn to ice. December 15th confirmed. You know what to do with the break lines. Make it look like equipment failure. Remote job site, no witnesses. I'll be devastated. The grieving widow. Then we're free. December 15th was next month. I'd mentioned to Michelle that I had a big inspection job that day. A bridge foundation in the Blue Ridge Mountains. 2-hour drive on winding roads. Solo job, no crew with me. She was planning to have Tyler sabotage my work truck. I forwarded the email to Ashley and Scott, then carefully deleted any trace that I'd seen it. My hands were shaking as I cleared the browser history. 26 years of marriage, and she was planning my death like it was a weekend project. Ashley came back with Tyler's background 3 days later. Tyler Mason, 29, personal trainer at Peak Fitness. Drowning in debt. Credit cards maxed, student loans in default, car about to be repossessed. He's desperate, which makes him perfect for someone looking for help with a problem. How did they connect? Her credit card shows private training sessions 3 times a week since March. Affair probably started there and evolved into this. I looked at the financial records Ashley had gathered. Michelle had been paying Tyler $200 per session, 3 times a week for 8 months. That's over $19,000 for personal training. Meanwhile, she'd been telling me money was tight, that her interior design business was slow. Can we prove the murder plot? The email helps, but it's not enough on its own. She could claim it was taken out of context, some kind of joke. We need them to incriminate themselves beyond any reasonable doubt. What if we give them what they want? Ashley looked at me sharply, meaning, I go through with the December 15th job, but we control every variable, record everything, catch them red-handed. Brandon, that's insane. Even with precautions, you'd be putting yourself at serious risk. Less risk than doing nothing. Less risk than confronting her now and having her lawyer up before we have solid proof. I want them both in prison for a long time. That requires ironclad evidence. Scott objected too when I told him the plan, but eventually they both agreed with conditions. The FBI would be involved. This was attempted murder with insurance fraud across state lines. Federal charges were possible. Ashley would have surveillance on Tyler 24/7. The truck would be thoroughly inspected before and after Tyler had access. I'd wear a wire for every conversation with Michelle from here on out. And Mrs. Garcia would keep watching the house like she'd been doing for months. The next 2 weeks were carefully choreographed. I played my part perfectly, excited about the December 15th job, mentioning it over dinner, watching Michelle encourage me. "You work so hard, honey. Just be extra careful on those mountain roads. You know how I worry." Every word was recorded on the wire I wore, every fake smile, every pretended concern for my safety while she was planning my death. "I'll be fine. It's just a routine inspection. Should be home by dinner. Good." I was thinking of making that pot roast you love. The pot roast I'd never get to eat because I'd be dead in a ravine somewhere. My truck's brake failure looking like a tragic accident. I started noticing things I'd missed before. The way Michelle would check her phone constantly when she thought I wasn't looking. How she'd develop new habits, going to the gym every morning, buying new clothes, wearing perfume around the house. She was getting ready for her new life. One night I woke up around 2 a.m. and found her in the kitchen with her laptop. She closed it quickly when she heard me coming downstairs. "Can't sleep?" I asked, just checking some client emails. You know how it is. I knew exactly how it was. She was probably coordinating with Tyler, making sure their plan was foolproof. "Michelle, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Are you happy? With us, I mean. With our marriage?" She didn't hesitate. "Of course I am. Why would you ask that?" "I'm gone so much for work. I worry sometimes that you feel lonely." She got up, put her hands on my face. "I have everything I need right here. You, our kids, our life together. I'm the luckiest woman alive." The performance was flawless. If I didn't know what I knew, I would have believed every word. She was that good at lying. "I love you," I said, testing her. "I love you too. Now go back to bed. You need your rest." December 14th arrived. Tomorrow was the day my wife thought I would die. I left the house at 6 a.m. on December 15th. Michelle was still in bed, or pretending to be. I couldn't bring myself to kiss her goodbye. How do you kiss someone who's planning your funeral? Ashley picked me up 3 blocks away. Ready for this? As ready as I'll ever be. The FB. I had already documented everything. Tyler had broken into our garage at 3 a.m., captured clear as day on our security cameras. They had footage of him tampering with the brake lines on my work truck and loosening wheel bolts. Sabotage designed to cause a fatal accident on mountain roads. "He's thorough," Agent Davis said, showing me the footage on her tablet. Someone taught him exactly where to hit for maximum damage. This would have looked like a tragic equipment failure. But it won't. No, it won't. The decoy driver took my truck out at 8 a.m., exactly when I'd planned to leave. He radioed in brake failure 20 minutes later on a safe stretch of highway. Crashed in a controlled location with emergency crews standing by. Everything choreographed to look real from Michelle's perspective. Meanwhile, I was in an FBI surveillance van parked outside Tyler's apartment complex, watching everything unfold through multiple camera feeds. At 8:47 a.m., Michelle's phone rang. The FBI agent playing dispatch. "Mrs. Carter, this is emergency." "Dispatch. I'm afraid there's been an accident involving your husband. His work truck went off Highway 29 near mile marker 47. Her performance was Oscar-worthy, perfect heartbroken sobs. "Oh my God, is he alive? Please tell me he's alive. Search and rescue teams are responding, but Mrs. Carter, you should prepare yourself." The truck went down a steep embankment. "I'm coming there right now. Ma'am, there's nothing you can do at the scene. We'll call you as soon as we know more." She hung up and I watched her through the van's monitors. For exactly 30 seconds, I timed it, she stood there in our kitchen. Then her whole demeanor changed. The tears stopped. Her shoulders straightened. She walked to our landline and dialed. "It's done," she said when Tyler answered. Her voice was calm, almost businesslike. "No more grieving widow act. They just called. Truck went off the mountain. They don't expect survivors." "Jesus, Michelle, are you okay? I'm perfect. Better than perfect. Give it 3 days for the search. Then we start the insurance paperwork. 1 week after that, we're on a beach in Costa Rica, just like we planned. I can't believe we actually pulled it off. I told you it would work. Tyler, baby, we're about to be very rich and very free." Every word was recorded in crystal clear digital audio. "What do I do now?" Tyler asked. "Go to work. Act normal. Pretend you're just my trainer. We can't be seen together until after the funeral. Can you do that? Yeah, I can do that. I love you, Tyler. I love you too. God, I can't wait to get out of this town. I sat in that van listening to my wife celebrate my death and felt the last piece of whatever love I'd had for her just disappear. She wasn't the woman I'd married 26 years ago. Maybe she never had been. Agent Davis looked at me. We've got everything we need. You want to finish this? 2 hours later, Michelle was at Tyler's apartment. Our surveillance showed her walking in wearing black, already dressed for mourning, but carrying a bottle of champagne. I walked into that building with 6 FBI agents behind me. Tyler opened the door and went white as a sheet. What? How are you here? I pushed past him. Michelle was on the couch, champagne glass in her hand, laughing. Actually laughing while wearing widow's clothes. She saw me and the glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the floor. Brandon. It came out as a whisper. Surprise, sweetheart. I hear congratulations are in order. I don't understand. They said the truck crashed. They said you were dead. They lied. Well, technically I lied. Turns out when you plot to murder someone with insurance fraud involved, the FBI gets very interested. Tyler bolted for the door. 2 agents were waiting. He hit the ground hard, cuffed before he could blink. Michelle's face went through shock, fear, confusion. Then that calculating look I'd seen so many times when she was trying to figure out an angle. Brandon, whatever you think happened, I know exactly what happened. The affair, the forged signatures, the increased insurance, the sabotage truck. I have everything, Michelle. 8 months of planning my murder, all documented. I pulled out my phone and played the recording of her celebration call. Her own voice filled the apartment. It's done. Truck went off the mountain. She collapsed back onto the couch. Why? I asked. It was the only question that mattered. 26 years of marriage, our children, our grandchildren. Why? When she looked up at me, all pretense was gone. Because I was tired, Brandon. Tired of waiting for you to come home. Tired of being alone in that house. Tired of being married to someone who cared more about bridge foundations than his wife. So, you decided to kill me. I decided to start over with someone who actually wanted to spend time with me. The money just made it possible. Agent Davis stepped forward. Michelle Carter, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, insurance fraud, attempted murder, and forgery. Michelle looked at me, last time as they put the handcuffs on. I really did love you once, a long time ago. I don't believe you, I said, and I walked out. The trial lasted 3 months. Tyler took a plea deal and testified against Michelle, admitting everything. How she'd seduced him, convinced him our marriage was loveless, promised him $1.5 million if he helped eliminate me. She got 23 years. He got 14. I'm 58 years old now, starting over. Sold the house. Too many ghosts. Bought a smaller place closer to Sarah and Mike. They struggled with their mother's betrayal, but we're rebuilding our relationship slowly. Mrs. Garcia comes to Sunday dinner every week now. She's become family, the unlikely hero who saved my life by speaking up when she saw something wrong. Any regrets? She asked me recently. I thought about it. None. She would have done this to someone else eventually. Tyler might have succeeded next time. Every morning when I wake up, I'm grateful. Grateful for observant neighbors. For FBI agents who take murder plots seriously, and for surviving the person who promised to love me until death do us part. She just didn't specify whose death. Sometimes the person you trust most is the one planning your destruction. But when you catch them, make sure justice is legal, complete, and final. If a neighbor ever tells you to check your security cameras, don't hesitate. That call might be the difference between attending someone else's funeral and them attending yours.